woken up feeling completely drained, as if your energy was stolen while you slept. In old Romanian villages, people had a name for the creature they believed was responsible. The Namoroi. Forget everything you think you know about vampires from modern movies. This isn't about blood or reanimated corpses crawling from graves. The story of the Namoroi is far more chilling because it's about a spirit you can't see, touch, or fight. When a person died with a heavy heart filled with bitterness, regret, or unfinished duties, their spirit could refuse to move on. This restless soul, caught between life and death, became a Namoroi. It wasn't a physical body, it was an invisible presence, thin as mist and cold as the winter air. Its hunger wasn't for blood, but for something much more vital. The life force, the warmth and energy of the living. Imagine this, a family goes to sleep, and night after night, they wake up feeling weaker, paler, and more exhausted, with no explanation. The village elders would say a Namoroi was visiting. At night, when the world was silent, it would slip through walls like smoke and settle over a sleeping person like a heavy, suffocating shadow. It would drain their vitality without ever leaving a single mark or wound on their body. The victim would just fade, day by day, losing their strength and will to live. They said animals always sensed a Namoroi first. Dogs would start barking at empty corners of a room. Horses would get spooked and refuse to enter their stables. Roosters, normally the heralds of dawn, would fall strangely silent. The very air in a house visited by a Namoroi felt heavier, colder. Even the fire in the hearth would burn lower, as if the creature's chilling presence was feeding on warmth itself. It was a silent, creeping dread that settled over a home. Unlike other famous undead from Romanian folklore, the Namoroi wasn't a monster you could stab with a stake. It was a spirit, not a corpse. It had no physical body to destroy. This made it especially terrifying. How do you fight something that's essentially a ghost? Villagers believed it was tied to our world by something powerful. A deep grudge, a family curse, or a funeral ritual that was performed incorrectly. Sometimes, they even believed that people born with unusual features or under unlucky stars were destined to become a Namoroi after death. While the Namoroi was often invisible, some claimed to have seen it. It might appear as a faint, human-like shape, the ghostly outline of its former self, moving in a way that felt both familiar and deeply wrong. Its eyes were described as dark, hollow spaces that swallowed light. Other times, it would manifest as a shifting shadow in your peripheral vision, or a pale blue flame flickering near a cemetery or at the edge of a forest. The Namoroi grew strongest in the dead of night, especially in the dark hours just before dawn. But as the first light of morning touched the horizon, its power would wane. The rising sun was said to scatter its form like dust in the wind, forcing it to retreat to its grave or the place it was emotionally attached to. But it would always return the next night. This terrifying cycle would continue until someone intervened. Families would call for priests or wise women to perform purification rituals. They believed the Namoroi wasn't always evil, but often just a lost, confused soul unable to find its way to the afterlife. The goal wasn't to destroy it, but to release it. It's important to distinguish the Namoroi from its more famous cousin, the Strigoi. In Romanian folklore, a Strigoi was a reanimated corpse that physically walked the earth and drank blood much closer to the modern vampire. The Namoroi, however, was a non-physical spirit that fed on life energy. One was a monster of the flesh, the other a specter of the soul. The story of a Namoroi would only end when its anchor to the living world was finally severed. This could be achieved by performing the proper burial rites that were missed, resolving an old family conflict, or carrying out specific spiritual rituals designed to guide the lost soul. When that moment finally came, the Namoroi would fade away for good. The house would feel warm again, the animals would calm down, and the people could finally sleep peacefully, knowing their life force was their own once more. So next time you feel an unexplained chill or wake up exhausted, you might just think of the restless spirits of Romanian lore. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this dive into dark folklore, make sure to like and subscribe for more stories from the shadows. See you next time.